Happy Thanksgiving, one and all, and welcome back to Clear the Ice here on the Edge of Philly Sports with your boy Matty B, coming at you a special live Thanksgiving Day edition of the Flyers, the world's greatest Flyer post-game show. And last night we're going to talk some Flyers Capitals. We're going to talk real fast because obviously it's Thanksgiving. I know you guys got better things to do than maybe sit here and watch me, but I want to apologize. I was literally out on the roads all night last night. Was unable to get home in time to knock out the show. But you know what? I'm not going to let today, Thanksgiving, assuage me from my rounds and my responsibilities. So here I am on this blessed Thanksgiving Day, kind of talk some Flyers Capitals real fast. And again, I hope everybody's having a happy Thanksgiving afternoon. And let's get into this. So, eight. The winless streak now is 8 as the Flyers fell last night 2-1. Or I'm sorry, they didn't fall 2-1. They fell 3-2 in overtime to the Washington Capitals in a game that at moments seemed like the Flyers might have gotten their act together and we might find ourselves in a victory way. The Capitals, who are struggling as well this season, but the Flyers, beleaguered as they are, shorthanded as they are, the minor league team that they are, in the end found a way to lose 3-2 in overtime, pushing now the winless streak to 8. Let's now head over to Landover, Maryland, or last night, let's head back over to Landover, Maryland, and the coach, John Tortorella.
These games, the one thing you said you haven't had a problem with is effort. Do you feel the same following this game?
Yes.
One of the other big themes that going into this game you wanted to focus on was making sure that you didn't give the opposing team anything for free. I guess, how did you see the team navigate that tonight?
We were okay. The frustrating part for me is the second goal. It's a coverage that we have gone over time and time again, and we just do not do it correctly. It cost us the second goal.
Did you come close to challenging that for offside?
It was not offside. We looked at it, but it wasn't offside. Very close.
I heard from the players and you in the past few games that you're finding ways to lose. Is that about execution or mentality?
Both. Some guys, it's just they're not able to think that way and wanting to win, almost waiting to lose. I think that happens with some guys. Other parts of the game, it's execution. But I thought our third period was really good up into a coverage, not from a young guy. A coverage is blown that cost us the second goal. No one play cost you a game. But the way we were playing our third period, we were right there. We were on our toes. We were right there. And what I deem a very simple coverage, we turn it into a mess.
When you have these guys practicing those coverages in practice, and they should be familiar with something that looks like that, I guess, how, as a coach, what can you do to make them try to
show it again?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm going to do.
When it came to overtime, weren't able to get any shift changes in. I guess, what was the cause of that, and how did you evaluate the overtime?
We have it's not an excuse, but with some of the people we have out, it's a struggle for us as far as the personnel, as far as 3-on-3. I didn't look at the goal. I'm more upset about the second goal. So, but it's I'm just telling you from a coach's mind, it's a struggle for me as far as some players. And this is where our injuries really show, is when there's a lot more open ice in the 3-on-3. It's uphill battle for us.
Felix give you a chance in this game?
Yeah. I thought he made some really good saves. Didn't like the goal, the first goal, but from then on, I thought he gave us an opportunity. And I thought, I just look at our third period. It was something I really wanted to watch how we were going to be, because I thought we were kind of on our heels in the second a little bit. I thought we put ourselves on our toes. We were smart with the puck. We had good. Our positioning was good. Sticks. We played straight ahead. Just going to keep on teaching.
Couldn't get anything going on that power play there when you're up a goal? Or just...
No, too stagnant. Way too stagnant. We're just so deliberate, and with some pretty good offensive people too. We're just so deliberate, and we can't make the next play. Yeah, it is what it is.
Got to keep on teaching from the head coach, John Tortorella. That was his post-game remarks after last night's 3-2 loss in overtime to the Capitals, dropping the Flyers now to the season 7-8-5, 0-5-3 in their last 8. Winless streak now goes to 8. I'm not calling it a losing streak because it's not a losing streak. It's a winless streak in the NHL because you've got points there. Granted, it's 3 points in your last, 16 points. But you know what? It's 3 points. And a couple of things to take from that is just, again, it's the same thing every night. And God bless John Tortorella. You know, here we are at the end of November, and it's already getting old for me to hear. It's the same thing every night. At what point do you think he loses his you know what, with these reporters who are asking the same questions every single night about the slow starts and about the youngness and about the injuries and about we just don't have this, we don't have that, and resilience and all that. Guys, do we not? Mr. Obvious can see it. Everybody can see it. This team is what they are. They're constructed in a very inadequate way. This season was designed to be a wait and see season. It's to see who's going to be along for the ride and who's not. And every single night, it's the same stuff. John Tortorella obviously being pushed to his coaching brinks as he's the straight up an educator at this point with his team as the Flyers again fall 3-2 in overtime to the Capitals. And yet another frustrating game to watch. It's frustrating, yet it's encouraging all at the same time because you got some of the young players that are really pushing themselves, some of the young players that are really attempting. They're giving everything they got, but it's frustrating because they just don't have it, and they don't have what they need to give, and they're not supposed to have it. That's not saying they're bad NHL players, but they're being asked to do things that they're not really equipped to do, and this team doesn't have the other type of player here. We don't have the scorers. We don't have the superstars. We don't have those players. So these guys are being put in positions where they're not necessarily supposed to be in, and they're doing the best they can with it. There's definitely some keepers on this team as we move forward. There's definitely some non-keepers. But the second goal he was referring to was a fundamental position issue, and Morgan Frost was way out of position, which caused that second goal. Let's go inside the numbers a little bit on this game as we try to wrap this thing up quickly so I can get back to my Thanksgiving fun. How the scoring went down last night in Landover. Morgan Frost actually got the Flyers up first, and that was a very positive sign when the Flyers struck first at the 5:27 mark. Morgan Frost is third. Again, the aforementioned Morgan Frost who would make a blunder in the second goal for the Capitals, but it was his third of the season from Sanheim and Farabee. 1-0 Flyers, and then that would last to about halfway mark of the first period. Marcus Johansson, his fifth of the year on the power play from Ovechkin. Or Oven Chicken, as I heard his name referred to last night, and TJ Oshie. 1-1 was your score heading into the second period, and then Pat Brown would get the Flyers the lead at the 14:33 mark, his first of the season from Provorov and DeLorean. 2-1 Flyers. And, folks, we had a 2-1 lead going into the third period, and then that aforementioned second goal, the Morgan Frost blown assignment. Sonny Milano, his third from Kuznetsov and Oshie, 2-2. And that's how things would stay all the way into overtime at the 104 mark. And Alex Ovechkin, or Alex Oven Chicken, no matter, I don't know how you want to say it, his 10th of the year, the game winner, 3-2 Capitals over the Flyers. Your stars of this game, Ovechkin gets your number one star nods with a goal and assist, including the game winner. TJ Oshie, who's coming back. I think he's about back completely. The second star tonight with 2 assists. And Felix Sandstrom. Listen, I've been pretty hard on the young guy, but a pretty positive game last night. Not a great game, but a lot better than what I've seen all season long. He'll get your third star nods. He did have 29 saves in the loss as he battled his butt off. But the question I have is, why wasn't Carter Hart in the net? He's your number one guy. John Tortorella said your number one guy needs to play when we're struggling. Don't know why he was not in the net last night, but we'll probably see Carter tomorrow at the and South Philly against the Penguins on the Black Friday special. So there you have 3-2 on the stat line of things for the Flyers and the Capitals tonight. The Flyers were outshot by the Capitals 32-23, taking now the Flyers season total to 573 shots for to 675 shots against. So, but they're doing a lot better job in that facet of the game over the last, say, 10 days. They have done a lot better. On the power play, the power play continues to actually just be god-awful. 0-for-4 for the Flyers on the power play, and then they gave up a power play goal. So the Capitals were 1-for-3. The Flyers now on the season on the power play, a putrid 10-for-66 for a 15% efficiency. And there you have it, folks. 2-3 or 3-2 overtime loss. Next up for the Flyers, a 5:30, which again, you got the matinee day after Thanksgiving Black Friday game at home against the Pittsburgh Penguins, which when you look at that on the schedule back in July, you're like, yeah. But of course, when both teams are struggling, it doesn't really, it lacks the punch, I guess. But also they moved the time. Typically that game was like an 11:30, 12 o'clock start. Now tomorrow, that game's been moved to a 5:30 start. It's a god-awful start for a Black Friday game. So listen, if you're not doing anything, you need to spend an afternoon away from the shopping malls and away from the Black Friday madness of the consumer world. Head on down to South Philly and check out a Flyers game. They definitely need your support as things continue to kind of chug along in this 2022-2023 season. And last night, the latest debacle, a 3-2 loss in overtime to the Capitals. I keep on wanting to say the Canadians. John Tortorella now 7-8-5 through 20 games. Flyers now 19 points on the season as they continue to kind of chug through this. Now the winless streak is up to 8. We got to get this thing settled, man. We got to get out of this funk. I got it. We're not going to, this team is what they are, but I hate these long winless streaks. I just don't like them. They're season killers. Flyers endured 3 of them last year of multiple losses, 2 10s and a 13, and now we're verging in on our first one of this season. So tomorrow afternoon, more than likely, Carter Hart will get the nod as the Flyers will face the Penguins, and hopefully try to snap this bugaboo thing for them. Folks, listen, fast, furious, to the point. 3-2 Flyers lost to the Capitals in overtime. In a game where they played, it's the same thing. It's the same thing every night. The undermanned, underexperienced, understaffed, underdeveloped Philadelphia Flyers are battling against proven NHL talent, and they're battling their butts off, but something always comes up. Someone's out of position. Tortorella mentioned deliberate passing. That's been a problem all season, even with the veteran guys, not necessarily the young guys. The veteran guys have been doing that all season. Something always comes up. Their power play continues to struggle. They continue to give up shorthanded goals. They're getting decent enough play in between the pipes. Last night, they definitely got decent enough play to try to get a win out of that game. Out of that, but something crops up, and it typically does with teams that are just not NHL ready. Teams that are featuring players like the Philadelphia Phantoms are featuring that are AHL guys. And this is it every night. This is what you're going to get until they bring in some new people, until we bring in a superstar duo, until we bring in some proven NHL talent, or until we develop our current talent, which I don't know if that's going to happen. But we're getting closer, or the clock is ticking. We are now about a quarter of the way through the season. So is this enough time to start making assessments, to start saying this guy's part of it, this guy's not part of it? Let's see what we can do in terms of trades. I don't know. I would think that we're getting close to that point where a pretty good idea can be assumed about the future of certain veterans and young players that are on this team. I want to see if that's what is the case, and if we start seeing some moves being made. We don't have to wait to the trade deadline. Granted, sometimes you wait that far to get the max value out of guys. But right now, this team needs something. We got 60 some games left. And if this is the product for the next 60 some games, people are going to be gone by the time we get to the end of the season. And I'm probably going to have a heart attack by the time we get to the end of the season. So there needs to be something for self-respect, respectability. We got to start moving some of the salary cap around. We're still trapped in cap hell. And that's not going to change with JVR's contract falling off like we thought it was going to, because now we've added Sanheim's contract. So we're still going to be in cap hell at the end of the year. Some of these veteran players are going to have to be moved, either now up the trade deadline or in the summer. What point do we do that? What point do we say, listen, this is the best we're going to get out of Ivan Provorov. This is the best we're going to get out of Kevin Hayes. This is the best we're going to get out of maybe Tony Delangelo or players like that. What do you have to offer right now for them? They are on the block. And yes, this is the best we're going to get out of Carter Hart. What do you potentially want to offer for him? I'm definitely on board for that. So that time is coming, that we need to start seeing what this plan really is. Quarter of the way through the season, Tortorella probably has a good idea right now of who he wants to bring along for the ride into the future, not necessarily this season, but into the future. Let's start seeing, hopefully, some moves being made to try to improve this team, if not for this year, but for years to come down the road. And folks, again, that's going to do it for me. And I want to wish you once again a happy Thanksgiving. And thank you for coming on and checking out and spending about 15 minutes of your Thanksgiving holiday with me here on Clear the Ice. Don't forget, we'll be back tomorrow evening at some point to talk some Flyers Penguins. Until then, happy Thanksgiving. And what did they say? Let's go Flyers.